What is going on, everyone? Welcome back to the channel. Ox here with another video. If you're new to the channel, we do upload Pokemon Go content mostly related to PvP, and if you're a returning subscriber like Brian Persad, thank you for the support. In today's video, we are taking a look at some team ideas for the Master League Classic. The Master League Classic is beginning on Monday, December 27th, running for 2 weeks until January 10th. Now, Master League isn't for everyone, but for those of you who are interested, we'll be taking a look at 5 teams today with some potential alternatives. The Master League basically is a league for Pokemon up to level 40. If your Pokemon are lower than level 40, you definitely are going to be missing some breakpoints in a lot of cases. You could have one Pokemon at level 41 with the best buddy boost. 15-15 IVs are going to be ideal. You want 100%, but it isn't always necessary, and legendaries are going to dominate this meta. Very few Pokemon that are not legendary within this meta, but there are still a few. So taking a look at team idea number 1, we're going to have a Mamoswine in the lead, Mewtwo as the safe switch, and Lugia as the closer. This is a pretty strong team right here. We have Groudon as a potential alternative for the Mamoswine. Zacian is a very strong safe switch. I think it'll work very well as an alternative for Mewtwo on this team if you don't have a Mewtwo. And then Ho-Oh plus Giratina Origin are going to operate in a similar role to Lugia for this team. So if you don't have Lugia available, one of those 2 Pokemon would work just as well. On PV Poke, this team is actually rated all A's, so it is one of the better teams according to PV Poke. We'll take a look at how it performs in a practice battle shortly, but before we get into that, let's take a look at the meta charts, see how this team performs against some of the meta and what its main counters are going to be. So as you can see right here, taking a look at the main meta, there isn't really anything that threatens to sweep this team entirely. The biggest threat is probably going to be a Zacian, which isn't the greatest thing because Zacian is quite prevalent within the meta at the moment. Mewtwo has a decent matchup against it, so that's okay, but obviously Mamoswine in the lead is going to be a bit problematic, so you're going to want to swap out into either Mewtwo or Lugia, both of which are pretty decent against Zacian, especially if it's not running Wild Charge for the Lugia, but it will be resisting the Dragon Tails. The team looks great on paper, but how does it perform in an actual battle? We're about to find out right now. So let's jump into this practice battle right here. We are leading Mamoswine into a Giratina Origin, which is a very nice lead to see with this team. The opponent is going to swap out into Melmetal, and what you'll notice immediately is that we don't necessarily have a great answer for Melmetal on this team. So I'm going to stay in here with the Mamoswine. Wasn't expecting them to debuff themselves with the superpower right away, so I'm going to take that damage, go for the Bulldoze right here, and then swap out into the Mewtwo. Now, because they no shielded that, they're actually in side strike range. We are going to outpace here to move, win CMP against the Melmetal, and take it out while preserving a bunch of health on the Mewtwo and still keeping the Mamoswine in the green. So pretty solid performance overall right there. Mewtwo into Giratina Origin. We are going to throw the Side Strike. Side Strike does still hurt quite a bit against Giratina, and they can't exactly go for Ominous Wind here, so I'm going to force them to throw the Shadow Ball, going to no shield this. If they do go for the Ominous Wind, as they did, we do manage to get to the Side Strike, provided there is no Ominous Wind boost. This is going to force the shield out of the opponent. And now at this point, we can come back in with the Mamoswine. We have a shield advantage, so I will be able to shield once here. Last time we no shielded the Ominous Wind, so this time they are going to be forced to throw the Shadow Ball. Have to respect our bait game right there. And we're going to go for the farm down, then swap out into Lugia, try to snipe. It's an Excadrill in the back. Now you may be thinking, this is pretty bad for Lugia right here. It's actually not the worst case scenario because as you could see, very tanky, take those rock slides very well, and Aeroblast actually threatens to pretty much KO Excadrill, so we do get the shield right there. I could have probably actually built up to the Aeroblast, but it's okay. It looks like our opponent was not counting. Rock slide comes through. Gonna overfarm a little bit, look to do some chip damage with the Sky Attack, but they're gonna throw instead. I'm okay with this, going to no shield. Remember, we have energy on the Mamoswine ready. Gonna throw the Bulldoze right here, and then because we still have that shield, the Giratina will come back in. We'll shield this up, and we should be able to commit to the farm down before they get to another move. Able to take that game right there with the all-rated A team on PV Poke. So jumping into the second team idea right here, this is the team that I used to reach legend rank in season 8, I believe it was. It's basically Groudon plus 2 Pokemon in the back that are very weak to Melmetal. So with this team, it works in an ABB strategy. You have Groudon with the Mud Shot. You're looking to bring in Dialga, lure out the Melmetal, come back in with the Groudon, farm it down with Mud Shot basically, at which point Togekiss hopefully will be able to sweep the remainder of the team with the biggest threat in Melmetal gone. Some potential alternatives for this lead spot could be Kyogre. That was basically the popular variant of this team before Groudon came into the game with Fire Punch, and then Garchomp is also a reasonable substitute. Yveltal, Dragonite, nice options to replace Togekiss in the back, and Lugia operates in a similar role as Dialga for the safe switch, looking to lure out the Melmetal. So this team does have a pretty solid rating on PV Poke, B for coverage, A for bulk, B for safety and consistency. But let's take a look at how it performs against the meta. You can see right here, there isn't really anything that threatens to sweep this team entirely. The biggest threats look like they are going to be Ho-Oh, Landorus, Therian. Even those Pokemon, you know, they still lose in a lot of situations, so there isn't really anything that threatens this too much. Melmetal is what stands out there for the backline, but as long as you lure it out, you can see Groudon basically walls it with Mud Shot, Earthquake, and Fire Punch. So with all that said, let's hop into a practice battle right here. We have Groudon into a Giratina Origin. This isn't exactly the best lead to see. I'm going to swap out into the Dialga, luring out the Melmetal just as planned right here. Now, usually the Melmetals are going to build up to 2 superpowers, so they're going to throw first here. We should be able to win CMP now with the Draco Meteor, but of course, this game is broken. We click on the move, we lose CMP. It is what it is, forces me to shield there, but now since they have debuffed themselves 2 times, I could safely go for the Iron Head here. Thunder would KO, so they have to respect it, and they are going to throw another superpower here before we get to the next Iron Head. So I'm going to let this one go through. Pretty much played out the same way, come in with Groudon, and we're just gonna look to completely farm down here. So superpower not doing anything. Opponent will get to another move, but we're gonna be loaded on energy here for when the Giratina Origin likely comes back in. We'll have an Earthquake ready to go. It's actually a bit better since we did get a shield out of the Melmetal. There's only 1 shield left for the Giratina, makes them less likely to shield right there. And I decided to go for the Fire Punch, expecting them to shield this, but they don't. So that's actually a bit of a bummer right here. So I'm gonna go for a second Fire Punch. We actually get that before they throw a move here, which is definitely a big break for us. I think we should just for 2 Earthquakes, to be honest, but it's an Excadrill in the back, and this is actually probably the worst situation to see. Double Steel team, you're usually going to lose right here, so I'm going to throw this Fire Punch, and what I want to do here is throw 1 more Mud Shot and swap out to catch this move onto the Togekiss. What's important here is that we got this shield from the Excadrill, we have a Fire Punch ready to go. Groudon is going to win CMP against the Excadrill, so as long as we put it in this range where it is right now, the game should be over unless it glitches out and doesn't allow us to click on the charge move, which happens pretty often. Groudon comes in, Fire Punch did pop up. We're going to be able to take this game. So that is how the team works in a nutshell, basically. Very strong, highly recommended team. Let's hop into the next one. Team idea number 3. This is an older team that is basically an anti-Dialga team. You got Melmetal in the lead, Groudon as the safe switch with Dragon Tail. I prefer Dragon Tail when running it as a switch, and Togekiss in the back. All 3 of these Pokemon can beat Dialga. Dialga can beat Groudon and Togekiss in some situations, but they all have play against Dialga. So that's basically what the team is right here. We have some alternative options at the bottom. Palkia is a very interesting safe switch option, I think, because there are going to be quite a few Pokemon that cause issues for this team, as you're going to see right here on the next page. Actually, before we take a look at the weaknesses, this is the team rating right here. B for coverage, A for bulk, B and B for safety consistency. Very similar to the last team we just saw. Now let's take a look at how this team performs against the meta. So taking a look at the meta right here, you could see that one of the bigger threats is probably going to be something like Ho-Oh. Ho-Oh could be a bit of an issue, but it can't really take out all 3 of these Pokemon. And in a lot of cases, Melmetal should be able to win that match. Mewtwo also seems a little bit problematic, although Melmetal is going to win that in the 2 shields in most cases, especially if they're not running Focus Blast. Overall, a pretty solid team, definitely an anti-Dialga team right here. That's what we're going to be targeting in these battles. First matchup right here, we got the mirror match, and my Melmetal actually doesn't have good IVs. It has a 13 attack, so I'm always going to be losing CMP right here. So I'm always gonna let the opponent throw first unless they go to 100 energy, as they do right here. Notice I did click the superpower, so I'm gonna let this go through right here. It should be CMP tie, but of course the game is broken. They come in a Groudon. That's a huge break for the opponent there because they actually don't have to burn a shield as a result of that. So very fortunate for the opponent right there not to have to take that damage. I come in with the Togekiss, and you would think this is pretty good right here, but the really sad part about this is that I'm going to leave health on my Togekiss, and since they didn't have to burn a shield, Melmetal comes back in, basically farms us down, and is back in the same situation they left. So not the greatest spot to be in. Obviously, not having that shield is pretty brutal. Having switch advantage is very good because now Groudon comes in, basically walls the Melmetal right here, as you can see. Opponent is farming up a lot of energy, going to throw the superpower, and they swap out to Togekiss. So I throw the Fire Punch here, definitely a mistake. You want to just swap out into the Melmetal immediately right here, so don't like what I did right there. And notice we're actually running the same team, so that's a little bit interesting. Rock Slide comes through. We will be able to get to 2 more, so we're going to throw this one. This will get the second shield, and then we'll throw another Rock Slide right here. This isn't going to knock out the Togekiss, unfortunately, and they are going to take us out with the charm. So I'm going to come in with the Groudon. Now it's very important to be counting moves here. Since I was not counting, I wasn't sure if this was an ancient power. That forces the shield, and now the opponent has a superpower ready to go. So I burn both shields right here. Pretty far from that Fire Punch still. We will survive this second superpower, but just barely. I'm going to throw the Fire Punch immediately. Honestly, I probably should have considered farming down a bit more, but I was afraid of these charms because basically 2 takes us out. We end up tying that game. So the game was definitely a little bit influenced by the charge move not being shielded, not getting the CMP, but it is what it is. Team idea number 4 right here. Giratina lead, Zacian as the safe switch, and Excadrill in the back. I got this team idea from the very popular Giratina double charm, Giratina double steel. I put 1 steel and 1 fairy type instead, so sort of going in between those 2 lines. We have some alternatives right here. I think a nice dragon lead is a good option here if you don't have a Giratina origin. Of course, Metagross replacing the Zacian makes it double steel, and then Lugia and Melmetal sort of operate very well with a Giratina Zacian team. So if you have Giratina Zacian, don't have an Excadrill, want a replacement, I think Lugia and Melmetal operate very well in that role. On PV Poke, this team has a rating of Bs across the board, so pretty solid. It seems like Bs are pretty standard within this meta. It is a quite restricted meta in the Master League, of course, but let's see how this team performs against the meta. One Pokemon that stands out immediately is Zarude. Zarude is kind of an issue for this team, although Zacian has a bit of play right there. Apart from that, pretty balanced overall. Nothing that really threatens to sweep, so it should perform very well here. Let's take a look at a practice battle right now. So jumping into this battle, we are leading Giratina Origin into a Kyurem. So you want to talk about the spice? That is a Shundo Kyurem, and that's a pretty bad lead. So I swap out into Zacian. We get met by a Zacian of the opponent's own, and right here we have an energy lead, I believe. I build up to the player. I probably should have thrown 1 sooner here, but it's totally fine. Play Rough comes through, does get the shield, and we sneak in the extra Snarl, which is very nice. That's going to put us at an advantage right here. Play Rough comes through, gonna throw another Play Rough, but now the opponent sneaks in a move, so things are going back and forth here. Opponent lets that one go through. I sneak in the Snarl, so again, like in the Master League, these games come down a lot to landing the extra move because a lot of times you have similar IV spreads. Gonna throw this Play Rough, and they actually decide to no shield. Now I wasn't sure if close combat would KO there. That's why I threw the Play Rough. Excadrill comes in. Gonna throw this close combat, definitely going to force the shield right here. And like I said in the last battle, very important to be counting moves because right here I figured I could shield this, throw a Snarl, and get to this close combat, but I was wrong. Actually, kind of weird. They threw the Mud Shot. Well, I guess, yeah, Mud Shot registers first, so not that big an issue. Rock Slide comes through. I swap out into Giratina. They come in with the Kyurem. Here comes the Excadrill. Now, Excadrill doesn't necessarily have a great matchup here. Rock Slide is going to KO, but if the Kyurem gets to the Blizzard, it's going to one-shot. So Excadrill about to go bye-bye right here. Bang! There it is. Blizzard taking us out, but we're able to come with Giratina and actually farm down, which gets us to the Shadow Ball. Excadrill should be able to survive this, but I don't quite think we're in drill run range quite yet, and we're able to Shadow Claw down, take that game with this team. Very fun. Highly recommend Zacian if you have one built. And now team idea number 5. This is a throwback to like season 4, season 6, I believe. A team that's still working today. Classic Dialga, Giratina altered Kyogre team. Obviously right off the bat, Zarude is going to be pretty rude for this backline, but Dialga does have some play right there. Alternative options to consider. I think Lander's Therian form is a great replacement for Kyogre on this team. Ho-Oh is also pretty solid right here. We have Mewtwo and Groudon. I think Groudon with Dragon Tail probably the better option for the safe switch here, replacing Giratina altered. Mewtwo will lure out the opposing Giratina origins, which Dialga can handle after in the lead, and Zacian Mamoswine, pretty similar coverage to Dialga in the lead. Taking a look here at the team rating, one of the best teams of all time right here, AABA. Only the safety is a B, which makes sense because there are some Pokemon that could come in like Yveltal and then still threaten the Dialga in the lead. So not the safest safe switch options right here, but still a very consistent team overall. Let's take a look at how it performs across the meta. So jumping into this battle right here, we are leading Dialga into a Giratina origin. So obviously a very nice lead to see right here. The opponent is going to swap out into Melmetal, and I wouldn't necessarily recommend trying this, but I wanted to try and catch the superpower onto Giratina. Now the opponent could always just throw the superpower immediately. It's sort of a guessing game when they're going to throw, but in this case, we did catch the superpower, and that's going to allow us to basically dominate this matchup right here. So it looks like I may even be considering I'm not going to do it. There's no way we consider a complete farm down here. We're going to have to throw Shadow Sneak at some point. I don't want to let these switch tyrants come up too much because I want them to stay in this match. I don't want them to leave with energy on the Melmetal, so I will look to just win this. At this point, when it looks like they are going to stay in this match, I'm just going to commit to the complete farm down here. Looks like they don't want to give up the alignment, get their Giratina stuck on the Dialga, so they do allow the Melmetal to go down. Gonna come in with Zacian right here. We are at 100% energy. Shadow Sneak comes through. Gonna get to another 2 hopefully right here. The Zacian likely will look to farm us down completely with Snarl, but we could come in with Kyogre after. And if they're not running Wild Charge, pretty solid matchup right there. Actually get a shield as well, which is very nice. Kyogre comes in. Probably should shield the first one, to be honest, in case it is Wild Charge, but it happens to be a play rough. That's definitely from me knowing the moveset on the opponent's team. We are still going to have to shield at least once here, so would have made a lot more sense to shield the first time, I believe. I knew they were going to swap out immediately after throwing the close combat, so I'm already clicking the Dialga right there. Giratina origin comes in. They are fishing for the boost. We're loaded on energy because remember, we did swap out very late of that lead matchup, and we should be able to commit to the complete farm down right here. Zacian going to come back in, and this game is basically over. The opponent knows that, so they don't shield. We take that game. A very strong team. So those were some team ideas for the Master League Classic in Season 10. These are by no means the best teams for the Master League Classic, but they are definitely options to consider with some alternatives to look for if you don't have some of these Pokemon available to you. Whether or not you play in the Master League Classic, I wish you the best of luck in your battles. If you guys enjoyed this video, please consider leaving a like, commenting, subscribe to the channel. Thanks so much for watching. I'll see you guys in the next video. Take care.